And we are live. So happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope the sun is shining wherever you are. It's not shining in London where I am. We've got the awesome Mr. Mark Eshelby on the call today. Mark has finished up the first phase with us in the 1% in the blueprint, and he's continuing to work with us in the follow-on phase. He's kind of taken 20 minutes out of his day to share his experience talking about it. By my account, he's absolutely smashed it, but I want you to hear from the horse's mouth. It's more important coming from Mark than not me. Before we kick off, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do?
As you said, my name's Mark Eshelby. I'm 48. I'm married. We've got 2 kids, and I run a small property development, land promotion company, and also manage a small family commercial portfolio that we own. So,
Nice.
In a nutshell, that's me.
Busy man as well, right?
Can be.
Yeah,
can be.
Cool. So let's rewind a few months into the past, right? So I think you'd followed me for a little while on LinkedIn, social media, and a few months back decided to reach out, have a chat because you've seen what I do. What was going on with you back then that you thought, right, actually want to have a chat with Luke and engage in a piece of work?
I knew that I was going to have quite a big 2025. Certain things happened to me personally and professionally that made this quite a big year for me. And I decided that I needed to start 2025 as the best possible version of me. And so as opposed to getting to New Year's Eve, New Year's Day and thinking, right, let's set myself some goals, which is something that my wife and I do together on New Year's Eve. I thought, no, I'm going to do this insane thing and take it on in October, November and December whilst everyone is out partying. And I'm going to hit the ground running. And so I had followed you for a while, as you said, and I'd always said to myself, if I do something like this, I'm going to do it with Luke. And so I reached out and here we are.
Nice. Well, I want to fast forward to today to sort of talk about what we've achieved, but just to touch a bit on, like, I guess, motivations for why. One way to look at it is like, what did you think wasn't working, or what did you think you were looking for help with addressing back then?
Well, I've always been quite fit and healthy, and I suppose that has enabled me to have bad habits, but to be able to compensate for them. I mean, I've run marathons, I've done ultra marathons with my wife, I've done half marathons. We got married in May, and I ran 5 kilometers every day throughout April, but I noticed that then I didn't run in May, so I just didn't have an established routine, I suppose is the way of putting it. And so I thought, as opposed to going out and doing a marathon or climbing a mountain or whatever, I'll get into something that is an established pattern and see if I can then stay there. So that was kind of the philosophy behind it. And I just thought that a lot of what you said resonated with the way I thought. So I thought, well, let's see what he's got to say.
So we can do. And I think what you're saying there, it's common with a lot of, or quite a few gents at least that I speak to. It's, I guess, at least from the physical component of keeping, being your best self and being in decent nick, often having external factors that are driving that. So running a marathon, a triathlon, or whatever. So there's an external thing. So I'm doing it at the service of that, which is fine. But equally, once that thing's taken away, that's where you, like you said, well, I'm running 5K every day for the wedding, and the wedding in there, well, then I stop. Or then there's a marathon, I'll do it for that. But it's like, rather than being reliant on this large external event to drive the health factors, it's like, I think what we're saying here is wanting some foundational habits that are there in the background regardless, right? Is that what we're talking about?
That is what I'm talking about. And I don't want to give away the tricks of your trade.
That's fine.
So, but I found that I have managed to create a routine, to use that word again, that miraculously creates more time in my day. And spoiler alert, it's the mornings. We create time there. But that routine sets you up for the day. You feel sort of lighter in your step, also lighter in weight. I mean, I've lost weight, but it's not just that. It's fitness, nutrition, and mindset. So I'm more present for my daughter, my wife, for her son, when I am with them, which means I sleep better. I process my thoughts, my worries, my concerns, and there's some other little tricks in there which I find very powerful. One in particular, which has been very revealing.
Yeah. And that segues nicely to what I was going to ask next, in saying that, so where you were, a few months back was kind of like wanting to do some work, recognizing you got a big year ahead, lots to do, wanting to hit the ground running, firing all cylinders, and not in a new year, new me kind of approach, more about I want some established foundations. And so as we sit here today, I guess I'm going to say, what are your key successes so far? And I think the big one you're saying there is this, I guess, routine and structure, but that you said there about that magic in time, it's like, well, I think often in my experience when I work with gents is like, oh, I've somehow got more time. It's like, well, because if I could actually give you more time, I'd be a billionaire, right? But I can't. But I think often we've got a lot of maladaptive behaviors that we're often blind to, and nothing that much. But when you compound those over time, throughout the week, that can sap quite a lot of time. But if you start to address those, well, then actually all of a sudden there's more there to play with, right? Does that make sense?
Well, it does, yeah. I mean, I look forward to my mornings. So, I get up. I mean, for me, I go for a walk quite early in the morning. Get back, do my workout, and then the cold showers where the magic is, and it sort of almost recharges you for the day, and you've ticked that box. It's done, and then you can get on with your day without having to think, when am I gonna get in my steps, when am I gonna do my workout, and all the rest of it. So you've got the rest of the day to yourself, and so when it comes to the evening and you finished your work and all the rest of it, you're there with your kids, and you've got time for them, as opposed to saying, I need to go for my run now. But so it just, it's a structure and it works.
What would you say have been your key takeaways then, sort of coming through this process so far? Like, what have you been the biggest things that you've learned from the process?
A lot of the things that I've touched upon, the importance of writing things down, and logging those thoughts away. The mornings, the being present, and it's something that you say a lot, which has really resonated with me. Is it's the sum of the parts. So, nothing that you have taught us or given us is unknown. It's all sorts of little bits and pieces of common sense, eating well, not drinking all the time, and all those other things. But when combined, they have quite a powerful effect. And it also teaches you ownership. So, if you decide that you're going to go out late, or you're not going to get up, or you're going to drink a bottle of wine, you sort of own that decision. But you're able to get yourself back on track fairly quickly because you know what to do. And the other thing which I've really enjoyed, is the accountability. I mean, I've made some really, really great mates, and when I first contacted you, I thought we were going to work one-on-one, and I quickly found out that it was a group thing, and I thought, okay, well, you know, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
But you all kind of help each other out. You know, there's a WhatsApp group, there's weekly calls. And again, I don't want to give too much away, but I've made some really, really great mates who I've never met, but, you know, we really sort of cheer each other on, and we're still in contact. And, you know, we're all on this journey now in the collective, having completed the blueprint. But it's very powerful.
Could you try again?
Sorry, Siri's just started talking to us. Carry on, Mark. Sorry.
That's all right. You know, you've got this ability to get grown men to come on a call and talk about their emotions and all sorts of other things. And there's no embarrassment. And we're all from different walks of life, at different stages of our life, but we sort of hold each other to account.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you mentioned the group part, because it's a powerful thing. And like you said, I think your face when you let it first, like, oh, I'm not sure about that. That's not always, but it's a not uncommon reaction when and for whatever reason, if they've read the collateral and they haven't noticed that it's a group, and some guys are like, oh my god. And I think sometimes we think, well, it's my problems, I just need to sort myself out, and that's that. And I get that, right? And often we have to think, well, my problems are so unique and I'm so special and no one else understands, and it just needs to be magic for me. And then actually you throw yourself in a group with others and you go, fucking hell. Like, actually, there's lots of other guys with very similar problems and they think very similarly. And we, you know, yes, we come from different backgrounds and circumstantially are different, but actually there's huge commonality in what we're facing. That's kind of empowering, because you realize, well, hey, it's not just you versus the world here. There's other people that struggle and find this stuff difficult. But equally, then you also realize it's more than achievable, because you've seen those same guys working through, discussing the stuff and moving forward. And I think having a forum in which to do that's powerful. And it's not like a little, you know, sort of circle jerk, nor is it all shouting at each other. It's just, I think, the shared experience when you hear someone share something and you go, oh, because sometimes as well, you might hear someone say something to me in an interaction we're talking on a call. That gives you a perspective you might not have considered. And actually, that in itself can be powerful, more powerful than just having a chat with me sometimes, because you go, oh, hold up a second, I'm not doing that. Or I like the way they've thought about that. And when you hear that multiplied across a few people week in, week out, it might, as you know, it becomes quite powerful, right?
Well, it does. And I mean, again, I part of the course and part of the reason I did it is that, you know, I like a glass of wine, probably too much so. And as part of one of the week's goals, you go from wherever you are to a lot less. And my reaction on the call caused one of the guys in particular to reach out to me directly and share his own experiences. And he was a few weeks ahead of me. And he just was very, very supportive. That really, really helped me. And then, you know, later on in the course, I realized that he had a struggle with something completely different. And I reached out to him, and then one of the other guys reached out to me, and you just sort of, there'll be something that someone will say that you relate to, and you'll think, yeah, well, you know, he really helped me with something. So, and sometimes you message on the group, and sometimes you message directly, and it just, you sort of band together and help each other through. And there's different things you do. I mean, the cold showers, which I've touched upon, we had a joke about it. One of the guys had a song that he sang when he got into his cold shower in the morning. And, you know, we found that funny, and we all started doing it. And so you shared experiences, and you sort of help each other. No,
for sure. And I think it's, of course, it's a journey for yourself, right? Because everyone who's in here wants to invariably want to be better, fitter, healthier, happier, more content, you know, all that good stuff. And so, of course, there's work that one as an individual has to do, but doing that in a group, in a process with others going through the same journey, as we're discussing, is really powerful, right? And I think for guys that might watch this and go, I'm not sure about that, it's a hard one to really, you have to just really experience it to get it. Like, because you can say that, but until you're in it, you go, well, why would I care? But then when you see it and experience it, you go, and I can see guys having penny drops, like you said before. It might be the first call, and they've been a bit like reticent. We've had our initial chat, and they go, all right, I'll do it. But I'm not sure about the group. And then you'll see them have one of the first group calls, and they'll go, that was amazing. Like, yeah, because there's power in it, right? What would you say? Just a random question here. Was the most sort of, or has been the most surprising thing about the process so far?
The most surprising,
yeah,
that it's easier than you think it's going to be. You just follow the goals, trust the process, and the results become addictive. It's, as I said before, it's not anything that some sort of hidden magic or anything else. It's very sensible advice, and it's a brilliant program you've built. But we are aware of a lot of these things.
Yeah, sure.
Exercise, you'll be healthier. Eat well, you'll be healthier. Drink lots of water. It's all those sorts of things. But the stuff that I found most powerful was the mindset side of things. Don't worry about things quite so much. The being more present for your family, the phone side of things, the journaling, the shadow work, which I found incredibly powerful. So that's the stuff that I wouldn't have known about otherwise. But if you follow it, it works. It really does.
And what you said there about I think it's it's almost like saying it's not rocket science, right? And I've seen most before, and that's again common. Most guys, well, yeah, I've seen a lot of this, but I think more often than not, when someone is trying to do work on themselves, they're looking for the one thing, the magic thing. And like you said, it's about being the sum of the parts. And for me, like most things in life, it isn't one magic thing. It's cumulatively doing these things has an impact. And then so it's like, well, what is like work-life balance or not being burnt out, whatever. And it's not a thing. It's like an emergent property of a multitude of things or things that you are or aren't doing. And once they start to come together, it's like, oh, I just feel a bit less stressed and I'm happy, more content. And one of the calls earlier this week, I was saying to one of the guys, like last week he was stressed out his head and he was really worried about stuff. And then this week he's much better because he's put some stuff in play. I was like, nothing has changed externally. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is you and your ability to cope and deal with it and see it. And for me, that's the power, right? It's like your life, Mark, is still your life, right? But you feel more happy, more content, more present at home, healthy, right? The thing that's changed is you and your ability to cope with what's going on in life. The life's still there, it's still what's going on. And that for me, that's the empowering bit, right? And it's those little bits that I don't, but those little bits individually, none of them are particularly like revelatory. Now, some of the things like you said, like maybe some of the deeper work on the mindset stuff, you might not have come across that. But a lot of the stuff you probably have in isolation. But often when you try one of these things once in isolation, it doesn't work. It's like, well, you do one push-up once, you're going to get a big, strong chest. Of course you're fucking not. You do 15 every day for 10 days, you get somewhere. And it's the same with like the other things as well. It's like you have to give some of this stuff time to embed, to build up. But when it does, you're the net result of that, right? That's what I'm looking at right now, which is great.
And thank you. But, I suppose on the flip side, even though it's not rocket science, if everyone was doing it and knew it, then
I wouldn't have a job.
Wouldn't have a job. So clearly, it's a very clever model, and I can't quite tell you why it works so well. Whether it's the group element, whether it's
obviously just me, Mark.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Joking. But I've tried all sorts of things before, and they haven't worked, and this one has. As I think I told you, on Christmas Day, I went and got in a river, and felt supercharged as a result. I haven't done it since, it's just.
Yeah, and I think that's a prime example of like, if when I said to you at the start of the process, by the way, you'll voluntarily, because I didn't ask you to do that, go and get in a river on Christmas Day, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? No way. But there we go. That's the magic, right? And that's the power of some of these little things, because it's like, well, what does doing a bit of cold water exposure do for you every day? well, doing something challenging, visual that you don't really want to do, like starting your day with that every day, over time, that kind of little bit of discipline starts to play out elsewhere and make you think about things like, oh, that phone call I'm gonna have with that client, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, you know. Well, it builds that sort of mentality, I think. So, I mean, I'm obviously biased.
Well, hey, I love it now.
Yeah.
I never thought I would. To me, it signifies the end of my workout and the start of my creative, productive, professional day. And I do it every morning.
You get to a point as well where you're like, I mean, at the moment I'm not, because I'm genuinely ill. Like, so it's not wise to throw myself in a freezing cold tub of water. But aside from being actually ill, I cannot fathom ever starting my day without a cold shower or some sort of cold exposure. I was like, why would I have a warm shower? That's how my brain works. So I wouldn't. It's still a challenge sometimes. I still don't want to do it, but I'll do it. And it's like it's this weird. There's a magic in it anyway. And it's not, as you know, it's not the only thing we do, but I think it's an important one.
It is.
I know you're a busy man, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, Mark, and I really appreciated you taking some time to chat so far.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Final question, I guess. Let's say someone's watching this and maybe feeling like you were when before we first spoke, on the fence a bit maybe about engaging with a coach, a process like this. What would you say to somebody like that?
Reach out and have a chat. I mean, I think I said, I mean, I had followed you for a long time. I'd watched a lot of your posts, and I'd thought to myself, one, you seem like a really nice, approachable guy, which you are, and two, you speak a lot of sense. And I always thought, well, if I'm going to do it, this is the guy I'll do it with. But you know, it really does work. So what have you got to lose?
Awesome, thank you. That's a pretty good endorsement if ever there was one. So appreciate that, Mark. If anyone is watching this and they are interested in having a chat about how I can help, like with Mark and the other gents that I work with, drop me a note in the comments or drop me a DM and we can arrange a chat. Mark, I think you're a legend. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk today. Hope anyone watching's got a lot out of this, because I have. On that note, have a fantastic week and see you guys soon. Thank you.
Cheers, I'll see you next week, Luke. Take care, mate. Cheers.